We're live. What's going on, folks? Drop me a comment when you get in. Let me know that you're here. It's Thursday night. It's time to talk about the best baits for this week of bass fishing and answer any questions you might have. What's up, Kevin Jones, Troy Hicks, Dusty Newton? Got some folks ringing the bell coming in the door right now as we speak. Appreciate each and every one of you joining us tonight. Somebody says hello from Grapevine, Texas. Well, hello, Grapevine, Texas. Man, there's a bunch of you guys jumping in. Holy cow. A lot of you. A lot of you, and I sure appreciate it. Thirsty. Been some long, hot days. Somebody said, what is the water temp right now? Well, the water temp right now is in the lower 70s a lot, like 68, 69 some places, a lot of 70. It'll probably drop back down to the upper 60s because we got some air temps getting in the 40s tonight, so the water temp will probably drop down to the upper 60s for the weekend, I'm sure. But it's warmed up a lot the last couple days, and a lot of things are starting to go on. There's some shad starting to spawn. Not really seeing a lot of bass chasing the shad spawn. Not a lot of shad spawning, but just a couple little hints of the shad spawn trying to start. Fred Solis, what's up from Canyon Lake, all the way down there in the hill country of Texas. But yeah, man, there's a lot of bass spawn right now, guys. Like, we're in the meat of the bass spawn. T229 says, congrats on the 2 double digits in one trip. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. I was lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time, and me and my customer both caught a double-digit fish on the same day in the same trip. We actually had 40 pounds and 12 ounces for our best five that day. If you didn't see that, if you don't follow me on Facebook, please go follow me on Facebook or Instagram at Your Lake Fork Guide. We do try to post a bunch of stuff there from all the guide trips that we do. You know, you guys that only watch on the YouTube channel, you don't really get seeing the action from the guide trips, because when I'm on a guide trip and I have customers, I don't roll the video cameras, and that is simply out of respect for my paying customers. They're paying me a lot of money to come fish with me. I really appreciate it, and I want to make sure I'm giving them my undivided attention, and that I don't spend any time focusing on other stuff other than helping them catch more and bigger fish. So that's what we do. So unfortunately on the YouTube channel, you're not going to see the 40-pound bag. Nobody's going to see it. It wasn't on camera. But there were some pretty cool pictures posted on Facebook, and a couple posted on Instagram so far, of a 40-pound bag. Unbelievable. We had an 11, a 10, and a 9, and a couple 5-pounders for our best five. And we had some other 4s and 3s and stuff like that. Awesome days. Best day of sight fishing I've ever experienced. We was pretty much all sight fishing. Unbelievable day of sight fishing. I've never experienced that before. I've never had 2 double digits in my boat on the same day. So that was a pretty cool deal. Pro Player 01. I'm guessing that's my guy that was with me that day, because he says, I saw that bag firsthand. It was an unbelievable day. Pro Players, tell them. I was like, after we got the 11-pounder and we reached 40 pounds, like, I was like in shock. I just kind of laid on the deck of the boat for a second. I couldn't believe it. It was unbelievable what went on. Well, let's talk about some baits. That's what you guys are here for. Find out what the best baits are to throw. Now, of course, for sight fishing, we'll talk about that in a minute. But let's talk about the non-sight fishing deal, because there's more and more good, consistent bites that are not related to sight fishing that is going on. So, frog. Number one frog color is Old Cowboy. I don't know what color that is, but Ronnie Kelly started calling it Cowboy, and it stuck with me. So, this little shad-looking thing with some blue and purple legs, kind of looks like a bluegill, I guess, because of the legs, but Cowboy. He's got silver, he's got blue. He looks like the Dallas Cowboys, so he's called Cowboy. That is the first bait, probably the most fun. Get it out there, give it a pop, 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 pop. Just quick pops with pauses. That's what we're doing with Old Cowboy. And usually, when you get one to come up there and suck down Old Cowboy, usually, not all the time, but usually, it's a pretty darn big one. I'm just telling you. The white's also working, but that's been the better color this week. The hotter it gets, it seems like this color is getting better and better. So that's bait number one that's not sight fishing related. Bait number two, the water temps have warmed up into the upper 60s. Some of it's into the 70s. It's time to throw the hollow bellies, folks. We'll talk about it tomorrow at seminar. We'll talk about it next week on the Guides Network. But the weedless hollow belly is something that I really keyed in on last year for the first time. The weedless hollow belly. People have thrown hollow belly swim baits for a long time, but not a lot of people have thrown weedless hollow bellies, and not a lot of people have thrown the Smash Tech weedless hollow belly. We're going to talk about it more in the seminar and the Guides Network over the next week, so I'll let you see it there. But there's some differences in this hollow belly and other hollow bellies on the market. Light hitch is my favorite color. That's an 8/0 hook. I like to throw this right in the mouths of these spawning areas. Anywhere those spawning areas, especially if they condense down and the cove pinches down at the mouth of it, that's where I really like to throw that big hollow belly. That whole thing shakes, the whole body shakes. It's just, when you catch one on that, it's a big one. Like, every stinking time it's a big one when you catch one on that. So that's a good bait. Another good bait that seems to be here every single week, one fashion or another, one shape or form or another, okay, is the chatterbait. Now, I'm throwing a 3/8 ounce chatterbait. Okay, here's the deal, guys. In these spawner areas, when it gets real windy, it gets kind of hard to sight fish sometimes. The last couple days have been super crazy windy. Well, one thing that'll work for you, if you get in those windy areas where they're spawning or you think they're spawning, just cover some water. Just cover the windiest banks and the windiest points you can. Cover water with the 3/8 ounce chatterbait. This is the B-Height Delight. It's got chartreuse and white on bottom, green pumpkin on top. That's a green pumpkin, the smallest size of the Lake Fork Tackle Live Magic Shad that I'm using for a trailer. Kind of looks a lot like a little brim. You know, guys, brim are the natural enemy of the bass when they're spawning. And then after the bass get done spawning, the brim are spawning, so they're feeding on them. So brim colors are a big deal right now, unless you're out there on the main lake points focusing on shad. But that old B-Height Delight chatterbait, that's been kind of the better color just the last couple days. Black and blue has been working as well. I'm changing the colors on my chatterbaits a lot right now, depending on cloud cover, water clarity, just a ton of stuff going on. Somebody asked morning on the frog. It's not just in the morning. It's an all-day thing with that frog right now, guys. They're shallow. They're on beds. These are spawning bass that are eating the Spro popping frog. All right, let's go to number 4. Bait number 4, which can be a multi-purpose and is just a dynamite. It's the time of year to throw this. This is a dynamite deal, guys. The swim jig. This is the Grass Mutant Color 6 cents Divine Swim Jig. It's got that great screw lock on there. You can't pull the trailer off of it, so it stays really efficient. But the Divine Swim Jig, in anything that looks like a brim, you can see how that would look like a bluegill or brim right there. This is an oversized Rage Menace that I have a guy that doesn't sell them, make them for me. But you could throw a Rage Crawl in there. You could throw a little Smash Tech, Smash Tail Junior on there. I like to throw this one, and here's why. Because I'll swim this thing along real slow around the grass and the cover, like up shallow where they're spawning or right outside of that. And then if I see a bed, I'll simply swim this bait right here, right up to their bed. And as it swims up, I'll just kill it, and it'll fall down in their bed. And then I'll sit there and shake it like I'm bed fishing. I'll actually bed fish that bed without ever seeing a fish on it. So I'll just roll it past it, drop it bait down there, and shake it. Shake it. I'll get a lot of bites on the very first drop into a bed on that bait right there because I never get my boat close to them. Now, a lot of those beds I don't get bit on, but it doesn't take but just a few seconds to do it, so it's kind of worth the drive-by, as I call it. That's the old top secret guide trick drive-by bed fishing, if you know what I'm saying. And number 5 bait, of course, is going to be our sight fishing rig. I didn't even bring it in. It's the Googan Squad Bandito bug. Is the creature bait that I'm using. I'm using a 5/0 flipping hook. I'm using a 3/8 ounce tungsten and a glass bead to make a little noise. That's number 5. So that's our top 5 baits. And guys, that swim jig, that chatterbait, that frog, those are all like While the bass are spawning, they're real good because they kind of represent a bluegill or brim. And then when the bass get done spawning, they're really good because they represent a bluegill or brim, because now those are spawning. So these are baits that you're going to be throwing pretty much through most of May, from now basically till the second half of May. These baits should all be tied on your deck every single day that you go out in this area, this region right now. Not just Lake Fork, but all these lakes around here. And then, of course, the swim bait. The hollow belly swim bait should also be tied on, because it's great when the shad start spawning. The hollow belly swim bait is about as good as anything you can throw. It's great in the mouths of spawning pockets to get a big bite first thing in the morning. The hollow belly swim bait is a great thing to throw over the next month as well. So these baits will all be around for a while. So just get used to them, I guess. That's what I'm telling you. What were the doubles caught on? The double digits we caught this week were both caught on the sight fishing deal. We were sight fishing both of them. What line for the Googan bait? On my sight fishing rig, I'm using 20-pound Seaguar Red Label fluorocarbon. Ben Shobe asked 4-inch versus 6-inch on the hollow belly. The 4-inch is going to get a lot of bites. The 4-inch is a great bait. It gets a ton of bites. I'm throwing the 6-inch because I'm specifically trying to target a big, giant fish in the mouth of these spawning pockets early in the morning. That's what I'm doing. So I'm throwing the 6-inch. Will the 4-inch get more bites? Yeah, it does usually. Sometimes the 6-inch gets just as many bites, but the 4-inch will usually get more bites. But the 6-inch will target those big, giant females that we all come to Lake Fork for. I will 1,000% sacrifice a 30 or 40 fish day to catch 5 big ones. That's how this machine up here works when it's actually in working order, that is. What cove was I in coordinates? It's funny you should ask that. I know you're just joking, but you can actually get it on the Fish Life app, and it's the one where the description says, so guys, here, check this out. So we caught a 9-pounder and 10-pounder in one cove, and then the next cove over we caught an 11-pounder. And right there's a Fish Life waypoint on the app in the cove where we caught the 9 and 10-pounder, and it literally says some of the biggest fish in the lake will spawn in this cove on that spot. I guess we got it right on that one. Like that, I guess we kind of nailed it there. 65-pound braid when punching, what brand? Power Pro. Power Pro is the only braid that I use. Will week of April 21st still be good for sight fishing? Probably. Yeah, probably. I mean, we're kind of like, I think the mass number of fish are spawning right now, but there will still be a wave that pulls up on that full moon right around April 21st. I think the full moon's like somewhere right around there. So, yeah, absolutely. There'll be some spawning fish. I would focus mostly on the south end of the lake, though. Heard a lot of people changing hooks or modifying hooks on crankbaits or changing blades on spinner baits, etc. Do you do anything to a frog? So what I do to a frog is I take one leg and I trim it shorter than the other, especially right now when I'm trying to make that frog walk. The deal right now, I guess, is I'm trying to make that frog move without moving forward. So when I want that frog to walk as much as possible so that it doesn't move forward as much, it'll walk a little better if you trim one leg shorter than the other. So that's what we do. The second thing is if you look real close, you'll see that gap in those hooks. See how the hooks aren't really touching the body right there? I hope you can see that on there. Showing up a little bit maybe. Yeah, it's showing up a little bit. There you go. I take those hooks and I get my pliers on them. I bend them this way just a little bit. Just tweak those hooks out a little bit. That'll help your hookup ratio. And a lot of these spawning bass are going to slap at this frog and miss it. So it's important to have your hooks bent out a little bit. What buzzbait brands do I use? There's one called Headbanger Buzzbaits. They sell them at Lake Fork Marine. It's a guy from Illinois that makes them. The blade actually contacts the head. That's my favorite buzzbait. Sandtone makes a great buzzbait that I use a lot as well. What was that other one that I use? I got a bunch of them. Like a couple years ago, I got a bunch of these baits. Lake Fork Tackle was selling them at the time. I think it's called a Zorro buzzbait. That's a pretty good one. I use that one a lot too. What chatterbait do I like the best? The jackhammer. The evergreen jackhammer to me is the best chatterbait, I think. What color Guggen creature is my go-to right now? All natural or whatever, El Natural or something like the natural color. It's green, kind of like faded white side. That's really good. Basically, the color doesn't matter. Just anything that's a natural looking color. Any type of green base or even a black, blue, whatever. I'm sight fishing, so the color's not that important. How often can you expect new updates on the Grapeville on the Great? How often can you expect new updates on the Grapevine / Louisville app package? Once a month. We update every single package once a month. With Lake Fork, I get to do them a little more often because I get to work with the guys that do all the functioning and stuff like that. So when something changes on Lake Fork or the East Texas Power Plant lakes or some of these lakes we work a little more closely with out here in East Texas, we update those multiple times a month. But at minimum, all the packages get a full update once a month, where every spot gets reviewed, all the descriptions get reviewed and all that. What power and length rod do you use when throwing big jigs out in deep water? The jig rod that I use is in the 6 Sense Lux series. I use the 7.5 extra heavy in the Lux series for my jigs out deep. Now, that is coming. Within the next couple weeks, I will be starting to go out and look in some of that deeper water. It kind of depends on weather. If we get some warm weather again, I know we got cold front coming right now, but we get some more warmer weather, I will definitely start looking out deep with the big jig and the big shaky head. Big perm, big perm. Anybody remember Big Perm? It's about to come back, folks. I'm just saying, get ready. But that 7.5 extra heavy to me, the Lux series is one I use. Now, there's a new series from 6 Sense, new line of rods coming from 6 Sense called the Sensory series. Now, the one of those that I have, the one prototype rod that I have is a 7.7 heavy. That is going to be the rod that I want to use. Like, if I can get my hands on 2 or 3 of those, when they come out, I'll be using that for my deep jig fishing, because that is the most lightweight, sensitive meat stick of a rod I've ever put in my hands. It's unfreaking believable rod. Like, you can put a $400, $500 rod up next to this one, and I'll take this one all day. How would you fish the mid-lake area right now? Focusing more on beds or stop signs? I'm focusing on beds on the entire lake. There's fish spawning top to bottom in big numbers right now. Any potential contacts for Ray Hubbard yet as a future Fish Life app package? Nope. We had a couple guys that kicked around the idea, ended up deciding not to do it. And I don't blame them. They fish a lot of tournaments out there. They didn't want to go forward with that deal. They're kind of into that old culture of fishing, or the traditional culture of bass fishing. I get that, and no harm, no foul. Still respect those guys. Think the world of them, love them to death. But no, we don't. We do not have a partner that we're planning on doing Hubbard with right now. We don't have any concrete plans for Hubbard. We would love to have Hubbard, but we got to get the right partner. So that's how that works. What about using the weedless poacher? Yeah, the weedless poacher is a great bait to use right now. As the water heats up, I really like that hollow belly, and one of the reasons I really like it is because I don't think a lot of people throw weedless hollow bellies. I don't see other people throwing it. I don't think they do. I think it's kind of a deal that the fish don't see a lot. It's a totally different action. The whole body shakes. The head shakes like crazy. I think it's just different enough that I get more bites on it. Now, the weedless poacher, if you want to go out and throw a big swim bait, the weedless poacher is as good as any of them. And there has been a gazillion bass caught on that sucker this year out here. Ronnie's caught a bunch on it. I've caught some on it. Like, I've gotten so focused on the sight fishing deal, I'm not throwing the big baits as much as some of the other guys are. But yeah, it's no reason to not throw that weedless poacher. Is an amazing bait. Even the baby poachers caught several 10-pounders for people out here at Fork this year. So it's an amazing, amazing bait, that's for sure. Heath Smash Tech did a great job on that. What brand is the Cowboy Frog? That's a Spro Poppin' Frog, the mid-size. How's the water clarity looking up shallow? It just depends on the last couple days worth of wind, or the last couple days worth of rain, or the cloud cover. Like, the water clarity is okay. Like, it's good enough. pretty much all over the lake. Now Saturday that might change with the weather. We got big storms coming Saturday again. That may dirty up some of the northern ends or the creeks, even the mid-lake creeks that flow real hard to get a lot of flow in them. May change the watercolor significantly enough to affect that. But right now the water clarity is clear enough all over the lake to go sight fishing if you look hard enough. Some areas it's easier to see them than others. Ronnie Kelly dry heaving was probably the best video of the week. It probably was the best video of the week. So me and Ronnie Kelly, if you haven't realized, we have entered into a pretty significant prank war. It all started one day when I pulled up to the ramp and his boat was just sitting there beached and he wasn't in it and his customers weren't in it. I was like, that's Ronnie's boat. And then our mutual friend, Jeff Partridge, was sitting up there on the bank, up on top of the ramp. I said, Jeff, that's Ronnie's boat, right? And he said, yeah. I said, hey, man, you got any zip ties? Because Jeff has a camper there at Oak Ridge Marina where we were launching. Jeff said, yeah. I said, go get them. So Jeff went and got his zip ties, and I started tying fish line and tying latches together, tying all his rods together. I took the zip ties and buckled his rod straps to the little rod that they hook on so he couldn't get his rod straps undone. Basically pranked his whole boat. And then a few days later, or like a week later, I go to eat lunch and I walk up into Oak Ridge Marina and I sit down in the restaurant. If you've been to Oak Ridge Marina, there's a window that overlooks all the water out there where everybody parks their boat. Well, as we sit down at our table, I look and somebody's driving off in my boat. And I'm like, what? Who's driving my boat? And this dude just drives out there in the middle of the lake and another boat pulls up next to him. He gets out of my boat and gets in the other boat, leaves my boat out in the middle of the lake. Just floating. Like, he was at least nice enough to put the trolling motor in the water and turn on the spot lock on my Ultrex trolling motor. But yeah, Ronnie parked my boat in the middle of the pond where I couldn't get to it after lunch, so I had to catch a ride to go get my boat after we ate. And then I took catfish bait because this one was worse than the people that watch the video even know, because Ronnie hates getting his hands dirty. He hates getting stinky stuff on his hands. He hates them being dirty, like hates it real bad. So I took catfish bait, I put it on the inside of the door handle of his truck. So when he grabbed his truck door to open its door, he got catfish bait all over his hands and he almost like threw up. He was like dry heaving in the parking lot. So yeah, that's how that went down. I heard you fished with the coolest clients in history today. Can you testify to that? Yeah, pretty much, yeah. My customers today were basically the coolest. I don't know, I probably shouldn't say that because there's a lot of other customers that watch this that might get mad. But my customers today were great. Old JVOT 798. I really appreciate you guys coming out. We did have a lot of fun. It was a lot. There was a lot of mean things said to one another, which just makes it a good time. There's a little trash talking going on. And shout out to JVOT. He is one of our law enforcement agency guys here in the state of Texas. And buddy, we really appreciate that, man. Thank you very much for doing what you do to serve the public and keep us all safe, buddy. We really appreciate that. All right, guys, I think I've caught up here. I know I missed a lot of questions in the beginning. If you asked a question in the beginning and I did not get to it, now's the time to drop it back in. We're kind of getting caught up, so let me know any other questions. I mean, Lake Fork, guys, if you are thinking about it or on the fence, get out to Lake Fork. It's unbelievable the amount of big fish that are coming out of there right now. When do you throw the big, oversized square bills? Got one in my 6 cents box. So, now, especially as the shad start spawning more, that's when I really like those big square bills. Like that new mini mag, the 3.8 is just the perfect size. You want to throw those on the wind-blown points where you see the herring stacked up, the wind's blowing into it, that clay point. If you see multiple herons lined up on one of those, that's the best place on earth to throw a square bill. Like, there's no place better on earth to throw a square bill than a wind-blown clay bank point on Lake Fork, Texas, that's got 3 or 4 herons lined up on it. Like, when you see that, that's the best place on earth to throw a square bill. So, right now. What's new coming up in the next little bit? Man, I don't know. I just kind of go week to week. We filmed a video where we caught a bunch of dang pike the other day on a lake. Went to a lake out here in East Texas and we caught a bunch of dang chain pickerel. Like a bunch. Like as many as we did bass. And they were just eating chatterbaits or swim baits or whatever. It was weird. I've caught one chain pickerel in my life ever. On this same lake, by the way. I've only been there like one or two other times and I caught a chain pickerel one of those times. And then we went back the other day because on filming day this week, it was blowing 8,000 miles an hour. You couldn't even get across Lake Fork safely. So I went to the small lake and we caught like 857 chain pickerel. It was insane. So that's coming up. If you like pike fishing, I'm pretty sure I'm the best pike guide in the state of Texas. I'm just telling y'all right now. In case you didn't know. Like, I don't ever say, like, I'm the best bass fishing guide, I'm the best trophy. I'm not. I don't think I am. I think there's guys on Lake Fork that got way more experience and way more big fish in their boat, and I don't pretend to be the best, man. I'm just a guy that's really passionate, love what I do, and I like to share openly with everybody, and I'm really passionate about helping people catch fish. Like, if there's anything that I'm good at, maybe I'm the best at sharing information. Other than that, I'm just another dude that loves to fish. But facts are facts. I'm the best pike guide in the state of Texas. That's no doubt about that, folks. When will you be fishing with lunkers again, and could you and Lake Fork Guy do a video? Me and Lake Fork Guy did a video last year. Me, Lake Fork Guy, and Flair all got in my boat one day last year. The scheduling is just to deal with those guys. I don't know. It might be next week. It might be next year before I fish with those guys again. Between my guide schedule and their everything schedule with all the promotional stuff they do and the different companies they have a hand in. Right now they're trying to get their store open over there at their new facility. I actually talked to Lunkers tonight. They're working real hard day and night trying to get that storefront open at their new facility. So they're actually over there running UPCs and doing all kinds of crazy, just regular old day-to-day retail work trying to get that thing ready. So it's pretty exciting stuff going on with them. If you don't follow the Googan Squad, you should, man. I know they're kind of knuckleheads. If you're a traditional fisherman, they're a little different. But they're great guys. They're really passionate about fishing. They're pretty dang good at fishing. And they do a lot to try and help others as well. So they're an awesome group of guys. Do you need grass to throw the hollow body? You don't need grass. You need shallow cover. It can be flooded bushes. It can be lily pads. It can be grass. It can be stumps. Pretty much everywhere in Lake Fork. It's got shallow cover. Or most of these East Texas lakes around here. Can't wait to come to Skeeter Owners Tournament and have you for a guide days before. Eric Burnett, thank you very much. I can't wait to take you out, brother. Have you tried Googan baits? And if you have, what's your review? I've tried a couple of them, and I'm fishing with the Bandito bug on beds right now. I think it's as good a bed bait as there is out there. I think it's as good of a small profile creature bait as exists. It's like I'll use it on a lot of things. I'll flip with it. I'll Carolina rig it. I'll punch with it. I'll like that Bandito bug's really good, and they've got a new bait coming that I'm not allowed to say that's really good too. I mean, a lot of their stuff's good. Their drop shot worm's good. Their regular worm's good. Yeah, Googan baits are legit. Like, they're really good. From a guy that does it every day and has to put fish in the boat to make a living, like, I would have zero qualms about throwing Googan baits. They're really good. All right, we caught up again. Well, folks, I'm tired. I've been fishing a lot, like every day a lot. So I'm going to go and wrap this thing up and go get me some sleep tonight because I got to go do it again tomorrow. And I can't wait. That's the crazy part about what I do is every single day I get up. Sometimes I'm tired. I may be like, man, I don't want to go today. And then I get to the lake, and as soon as I get in that boat and back away from that ramp, I am like Friday night football in high school all over again. I'm so jacked up, man. I just love it so much, and I can't thank all of you guys. I mean, I know I say this all the time, but I mean, I mean it like it's sincere. I want you guys to understand how much I appreciate each and every one of you guys that watches this channel. And get some more people watching it. Go tell all your friends. Bring them in. The more the merrier. We want to keep growing this community. Y'all know what we're about here, and it's humbling, man. It's awesome. Seminars tomorrow night, by the way. If you're in Lake Fork area, please stop by the free seminar tomorrow at 6 p.m. at Lake Fork Marina. Would love to see as many of you there. Would love to meet some of you guys. Put a face to a screen name, I guess you would call it. So if you're in that area, go check it out. If you want some tremendous help on a local fishery, or some of them are pretty far away, Lake Conroe, Lake Falcon, Lake Texoma, all that, go download the Fish Life app for free. Download it for free. You can see what packages we offer. If one of those lakes applies to you, please subscribe to the Fish Life app packages. There are so many big fish being caught from people using this app. It is unbelievable the amount of pictures we get every single day from just normal weekend fishermen, once a week fishermen, once a month fishermen using this app and catching some of the biggest fish of their life. Go check it out, guys. It's for real. It's legit. It's proven itself. I don't even know how many double digits have been caught on it this year already. Personal best is just through the roof. So appreciate you guys checking that out like I do everything else y'all do. That being that, Tired Man's going to go to bed. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you next time right here